Hey everybody, welcome back to the Throttle channel. We've got an exciting episode for you guys today. That's right, we're not in sunny Southern California. We are actually just outside of Tokyo at Top Rank PDI. And this is where a lot of cars come after they go through auction. Top Rank purchases them, they bring them back here and they do service and maintenance, and the cars get listed for sale. And I've picked 3 cars today that I think are relatable for our audience, for us as a shop that wants to rebuild cars that are also relatable to our audience. And heck, you might even be in the market for one of these cars. So tune in guys, we've got 3 great cars coming at you. Let's get started. The first car we've chosen today is a 1999 Nissan Silvia. These are really special cars, and for those of you guys in the United States, we never got these. We got the S13 240SX, we got the S14 240SX, but we never ever received the S15 platform. And it is arguably the best looking one out of the bunch. So sadly, we didn't get these. We're gonna show you one today that's gonna be eligible for import at the end of this year, which is exciting. More so, I think the affordability of this car lends itself nicely to a project potentially here on the Throttle channel. So let's take a closer look at this car. I'm gonna walk you guys around the whole thing. All right, well, we're gonna kick it off up here on the front. So as you guys can see, this car has some aftermarket parts already on it, which if we were to do a project on this car, may or may not survive the build. A really cool piece nonetheless is a trussed or Greddy, for those of you in the States, front lip. It is urethane, so it can withstand some bumps and grinds on the aprons. And also we're seeing a set of LM GT4s on the car as well. So that's a pretty cool wheel set to get when you buy a used car. Normally you don't get a nice wheel set like that. Behind it, we have the OEM brakes, which are definitely not the biggest brakes in the market, but what I like about them is they're completely upgradable. So if this were a project for Throttle, I would probably want to upgrade these front brakes to an aftermarket solution, or maybe even a OEM Spec R or a GTR caliper. And also up front, not aftermarket, but definitely one of the coolest parts of the S15 chassis are these OEM headlights. Such a cool look, very streamlined. I love the little chrome Silvia logos inside. Now, all the models of Silvia have these headlights, or S15 I should say, so there's nothing really special here other than they look great. When picking a good project car, it's always nice to start with a chassis that's in good shape. This is a great example of that. As you guys can see, there are no major dents, dings, rust spots, nothing on this chassis. I've given it my good thorough once over, and I am absolutely positive that this would be a good purchase. I don't see any issues with rust. I know where the traditional issues are on these cars. I've checked them all. It looks pretty good. As a project car, you can deal with some flaws because a lot of times you're adding a wide body kit, or you're changing this, or you're changing that, which is going to replace maybe a defective component that's already on the car. But I'll tell you, this car has great bones, and if we were to do a project, I would probably pick this one. Around back, again, we have our LM GT4s. We've got a big meaty tire on here. Again, these are things that are probably going to be changed if it's a project car, so you don't want to focus your efforts too much on picking that stuff apart. What I like about this car is it has the OEM wing. This is my favorite wing on these cars. They had a couple different versions. They had a ducktail. You could go with no wing, you could have this wing, and there's a couple variants. I like this one the best, and the fact that it's already on here is pretty cool. One of the things I love about this is the triangulated third brake light in here. The way they've integrated it into a high-rise wing, I think it's really cool. And again, this car has some aero stuff on it. It does have a side skirt, and it also has a rear spat here as well, which really complements that Greddy front lip and gives it a nice low look. The other thing I like, a lot of the cars that come through Top Rank, they haven't been fussed with as far as the badging and stuff goes. It's really cool when you buy a used car to actually get it before somebody else debadged it. Whether you like those badges or not, you have the choice to take them off, and that's cool. This car has all the badges in the appropriate locations, and that's comforting. We'll walk around the driver's side here to show you guys the interior, but before we do that, I want to show you down the side of this car. Look at how straight this is. There are no major dings or dents. You're not seeing any rust bubbles or popping of anything here. The pinch rails are intact. They are not rolled, so this car was never slammed. Nobody's ever been in here with a baseball bat or proper fender rolling tool, so that's a good sign. That means this car probably lived its life at this ride height. That's a good life for a car. One of the other things I love about cars in Japan, or that come from Japan, a lot of times they already have these rain visors installed, and these are an OEM part. They're not an aftermarket one that's flimsy. They fit over the moldings really nice, like they're supposed to, because they're made by the people that actually made the car, not somebody that made it secondhand. So it's really nice. I have these on my Stasia and my R34 over here in Japan, and because it does rain or sprinkle quite often here, these come in handy because you can receive fresh air into the car without soaking your door panels or your interior with rain. Well, let's get into the inside and and see how it looks. This one has been really well kept. The bolsters show a little bit of wear, but that's really normal for a car that's almost 25 years old. We've got a steering wheel with leather wrap. It's in pretty good shape. Airbag looks intact. A lot of times you see these are faded and just kind of worn out. This one looks like in pretty good shape. It is a little shiny, so could use a good cleaning, but all in all, what I like about this particular Silvia is that everything is here in its factory location, and it really hasn't been fussed with too much. Even has the factory carpets in here. It does have a set of old logo Nismo pedals, including the dead pedal, which I think nowadays is probably worth quite a bit of money. It also has a Nismo shift knob. All in all, this is pretty much an OEM interior, how you would expect it to look if it was bought brand new. So again, like I said earlier, with the wheel arches, you can tell somebody wasn't in here heavily modifying this car and it had been put back to stock or anything like that. It looks like it was cared for and it just wasn't fussed with, and I like that. So you know what you're getting into when you start a project on a car like this. It's always nice to start with everything in the place it's supposed to be, and you make the mods as needed. This is a great starting point. The other thing I like is that this is a Spec S. The Spec R cars came with this as a standard feature, but I think the Spec S's, and don't quote me on this, but I think the Spec S's came with this as an option. And this is the oil gauge here. So it does have all the remainder of the gauges on the dash, but they add this one as a sort of a sports meter, which is really cool. I really like this car, and the more I talk about it and look at it, the more interested I am in actually doing a project on it, because it does have such great bones. Well, now that we've seen the interior and looked it over quite closely, let's take a look under the hood. For those of you that are new to buying cars, a really good test is to just shut the door and see how it closes. Does it feel like it hits and lifts or hits and lowers, like it's not aligned properly? Maybe the car's been in a little fender bender. You can always tell a car that's been well kept typically by how the doors close. And this car door closes just like a brand new car. So that's a good sign. That means that the seals aren't terribly worn out, the latches are in decent shape, and your alignment is good, which means it probably hasn't been in a big accident or something that you should be alarmed by. The other thing you want to do is before you pop this hood, check the gaps in the hood. See these gaps right here? If these aren't the same on both sides and they're not true, that means someone either had the hood off or this thing's been in a front end collision. So right now, judging by what I can see, everything aligns really nice, lines up to the headlights. This thing's very straight. All right, well, I can see that the boys at Top Rank have been in here because I see a brand new battery that's been replaced, and I see a pretty tidy engine bay. Is it the cleanest engine bay I've ever seen? No. Does it look like a car that's lived on the earth for 25 years? Yes. So what's really cool is this is, again, the perfect project car platform. We've got an SR20 DE in here. That's right, guys. This is a non-turbo car. I know you're typically used to seeing turbos on SR20s. The Spec S came with a non-turbo option, and this one actually has an aftermarket header on it. That means somebody was kind of fixing this car up or wanted a little bit more performance out of it. This particular owner added a Cusco strut tower bar, a header, and they header wrapped it. So they were looking for a little bit of performance out of this, but it wasn't like this was somebody's dedicated track car. They just wanted to have a little bit more of a spirited drive when they got in it. I can respect that. They also added a cold air filter over here, which is hard mounted to the chassis in good fashion. And thinking about this like a potential project car for Throtl, I would like to mention, guys, that we typically start with turbocharged engines when we start our projects. I think this is a pretty neat challenge. So we could start with a non-turbo version, and we could put the money that we would have spent on a Spec R into the turbo system and all the stuff that goes with that to make this a really great option and a weapon at the track. One of the other things I always take a look at in here are the strut towers. Nissan's typically had issues with the strut towers on these cars because a lot of times moisture got in between the materials and would rot from the inside out. These strut towers look very solid, and they also look very straight. I'm looking at all the seam sealer in here. That's always where I look to see if the seam sealer has been disrupted in any way. A lot of times if there's been an accident and this has been repaired, you'll notice a variation in the seam sealer. The OEM seam sealer is very easy to tell when you see it, and if it's not there or it's been disrupted, it's also very easy to tell. So this car, I'm very happy to say that it doesn't look like it's ever had any front end work done on it. The core support is very straight, original paint on it. You can see where the seals have been rubbing for many years. This is no problem. I think this car is an absolute fantastic blank canvas for our very own Mona Lisa. All right, well, that's gonna be a wrap on this beautiful S15 Spec S. This is a really good platform for a project. So let us know if you guys wanna see us turbocharge this SR20 and make this thing the machine it wants to be. We've got a couple more cars to show you guys, so stay tuned. I'm gonna pull this one off and go get you the next one. This is definitely one of the most unique cars I've ever seen. And I'll be the first to tell you, I know absolutely nothing about the Toyota Serra. This is such a cool car though. So I just got to pull it in from the storage area. Obviously it has tons of character. Look at the doors, full gull-wing doors. You get inside of it, you feel like you're in a glass ball or bubble. It's insane. I wanna walk you guys around this car. I've done a little bit of homework on what this is and what it's about, and we'll go over all that stuff right now. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys why I think this might be a good project for Throttle and for you guys to watch on YouTube. I'm sure you guys know I like strange cars. Obviously, I had a Suzuki Cappuccino, which isn't your run-of-the-mill sports car, but it was extremely fun, and I have a feeling this is probably along the same lines. However, it doesn't have a turbocharged engine like the Cappuccino. It does have a peppy little 4-cylinder under the hood. One of the things I do know about this car is that it has an aftermarket front bumper and front fenders, which I probably believe help this car a ton in the looks department. Now, I can't lie and say I've actually seen a Toyota Serra out in the wild with its factory parts on it, so I don't know what the difference is exactly, but I will tell you whatever the gentleman or female that owned this car before did was probably a step in the right direction from a looks department. It looks like they started by smoking out the headlights and taillights. The fiberglass or FRP front bumper and fenders really give the car more of a sports car look. It has a little bit of a Supra-esque styling to it if you ask me, and obviously the front fenders have a wider arch, so you are able to put a bigger tire under the front of this car. Now I know it does have aftermarket 14-inch wheels on it. Are they my style? No. Do they suit this car? Yeah, they kind of do in black. So I think I would probably be looking for something like a Watanabe or something for this car if we were to take this on as a project. But the reality is this a great project car? I think so. Is there a lot to do with it that you can just go to the store and buy off-the-shelf parts for? No, you've got to get creative for this one. And for that reason, it may not be a great project car for the masses. However, I think the Throttle boys and I could tackle this one and make something pretty cool of it. Now let's dive into the inside because this is a very unique car and I want to show you all the little features that it has. So the first thing that you notice about this car straight away is the door system. It is absolutely insane and unique all in the same time. Look at this glass line. It goes all the way up here like a T-top, and you've got a main hinge system in the A-pillar and up here that allows the door to sort of pivot up. Now, I don't know if these are gull-wing doors, if these are butterfly doors, if these are, I don't even know. I have no idea, but check this out. You're gonna die when you see this. There we go. Like, okay, so your hinge is up here. Hinge, a pivot down there, and you've got a big, I mean, this is very much like a Lamborghini or a McLaren, how the doors open, right? For 1992, this is pretty cool. On the inside, I think, you had to do that, right? You gotta see them both up. Anyway, look at this interior and look how easy it is for me at 6 feet to get in and out of this car. Very simple, very easy. And what I will say is this interior is a lot roomier than the Cappuccino. The Cappuccino, my shoulder was basically against the door and my head was basically against the ceiling. It's pretty obvious to see that whoever owned this car previously was a car person, someone that wanted to fiddle and have something unique. They did go ahead and put the old snap-on screwdriver handle on the shifter. It's like shifting a school bus in here. Holy cow, look at this shifter throw. The seats have a really unique shape. The previous owner added really nice high-end Defi gauges, stepping motor gauges, which is really cool. But this is very reminiscent of the early 90s, the way the dash is shaped and the vents and just the overall aesthetic. But one of the things that really jumped out to me was this person must have had a love for stereo or audio equipment because I'm seeing a lot of speakers added to the car and there's even some really cool speakers in the back, which we'll show you guys in a minute. It's quite interesting and unique. Man, you cannot deny the uniqueness of this car and the lovability of it just from the fact that someone who had this previously put so much care into it and made it look cool and did the stereo and did all these upgrades. This is almost one of those ones where you just kind of continue the evolution of the mods. You don't really start from scratch, wide body, do all the crazy stuff that we would typically do. But let's check out the rest of the car. So around back, you've got this massive piece of glass with a nice, got the 90s style spoiler on it that's actually made out of foam. A lot of these crack and fall off and the inserts on them rust and rot. This one's in really good shape and there's no cracks in the paint, which is cool. One of the things that really jumped out at me was this direct sound position funky mode. So you can just get funky, you know? You turn your stereo on, just get funky. Just seems a little odd to me, but definitely cool. I bet you it sounds awesome in here. One of the things we noticed was these seats fold down, so you can use this as valuable cargo space. And then this seat divider actually comes out, and you've got this whole cubby under here. Factory subwoofer still in line here. It's just really unique and really cool. And I thought you guys would enjoy this. We're gonna need to hear from you guys down in the comment section if you think you want to watch us build a Toyota Serra from the early 90s. Definitely wouldn't be as easy as an S15 or some of the other JDM chassis out there because there's just not a lot of stuff available, but this is a neat car. We should take a look at the engine bay. All right, under here, I think we're gonna find a hamster wheel and a hamster or two running around in circles, but we'll see. Oh, hey, look at that. A little aftermarket Samco kit on here. Water temp gauges, grounding kit, HKS cold air intake system, headers wrapped, aftermarket header. And it looks like he put some sort of rubber seal on here. Oh, Blitz coilovers for the Toyota Serra. I had no idea. So, as you can see, the previous owner actually modded this thing probably as much as you could possibly mod it without getting fully custom and crazy one-off stuff. This is a neat car, for sure. Well, that's gonna be a wrap on the 1992 Toyota Serra. It's definitely a unique and cool car. And so let me head on over and grab the third of 3 cars that we're gonna show you guys today. I'm looking forward to actually driving this one back over to the garage. All right, last but not least, we have a 1998 Nissan Skyline. This is a GT. So this is not a GTR. Obviously, it has 4 doors. What I like about these is that they are affordable. This car right here can be had for $38,000, and it comes with a really good engine package, which is the RB25 Neo. If you guys don't know anything about the RB25s, they're a single turbo, smaller displacement version of the Godzilla engine, the RB26 twin turbo. Let's get into this one. Let's deep dive a little bit, and I'm going to show you guys why I think this is a great project car for us here at Throtl, and why you should be leaning on us heavily to pick this up. So for those R chassis aficionados out there, you already know that this thing has a front end conversion done on it. Now this is an R34 style face conversion for this GT. The headlights remain the same as what you would find on an R34 GTR. However, these are not the Xenon version. These are the dumbed down version that have the appearance of a GTR headlight, but they are not. They are not the Xenon high value headlights, which is okay. They still look the part and they do the same thing. And also you'll notice it has a GTR look front aero kit. Now these are not authentic parts, these are not Nismo parts, these are just an aftermarket component that the previous owner had put on here to make this appear as though it was an R34 GTR. Moving on to the hood, it does have the GTT style front lip on the hood, which is different than the GTR, but it does have a V-Spec 2 style duct in the bonnet, which is really cool. Definitely gives this 4-door that really mean R34 GTR look. One of the things I really like about this car is whoever had it previously spent a lot of attention and time on rolling these fenders and making it so that this car could sit very low and look really cool. My time with really stupidly slammed cars is pretty much over at this point. I've done that and I've grown up a little bit, and now I like a car that I can actually get in and manhandle and drive, and it doesn't scrape over every bump that I drive over. This car has been raised as it's in the inventory here at Top Rank because it needs to pass shock N. So normally this lip probably would have sat down here and this thing would have looked absolutely gangster in a 4-door format. But they've raised it so that it can pass inspection here in Japan. You could drive it off the lot as it is, and when you get home you could lower it if you want. Now this car has the traditional OEM style Nissan caliper and brake setup. It has not been upgraded, and it even has a set of work emotion wheels that will come with the car when it's purchased. This is one of those upgrades that, is this your wheel or your style of wheel? Maybe not, but hey, you could slang these and get yourself the proper set that you want by basically taking these off and just listing them up for sale. Moving around the side here, you notice the aero package continues. Now this is a Nismo style, or R34 GTR style Nismo side skirt, and also the rear underlip here. The rear of the R34 GTTs is actually quite longer on the 4-doors. So if you look at a GTR versus a GTT, you're gonna see that this had to be recreated and lengthened. So it is actually quite unique. And one thing I do like is they did put the Nismo style carbon fiber on all the pillars. Really kind of ties that whole GTR feel to this car. And what I love about it is you got room for your friends, the groceries, your dog, whatever. 4 doors, you can't go wrong. Now the previous owner of this car has spiced it up quite a bit. If you take a look in here, you'll see it's got some authentic carbon fiber door trims. He's got a carbon fiber shift knob. It does already come equipped with the ETC, which is for the toll roads here in Japan. If this were imported into the US, which I should say this car is eligible for import July of 2023 this year. So if you're in the market for a GTT, this one is available. You might have to buy it out from underneath throttle, but it could be in the US as soon as just a few months from now, which is really cool. It does have some other things. It has a drift button in here, a drift knob for the e-brake. The other really nice thing is that the back seats remain completely intact. Looks like the windows have been tinted on this car for a long time, so the interior is in pretty good shape. It's not all faded and ragged out like you might find on typical 25-year-old cars. So looking pretty nice. Doors closed nice, as we mentioned earlier. You want to check all that stuff. Everything lines up, seals sound good. Around back, she's wingless. Now this is one of the things that if this were my car, I would probably hunt down an authentic GTR R34 rear spoiler and put that on here, or maybe even just a small little ducktail that would come off the back. I see it has an aftermarket set of taillights. One of the other things that I might do if this were a throttle project, I might put a GTR style taillight cover on here that does not have the reverse lights in here, but it has them down here where the GTR is. I know they make bumpers for that. So as you guys can tell, my wheels are already turning. If this were a throttle car, what I would do to it to make it really cool and unique. The options are pretty much endless. But what I do want to say is this car is pretty heavily modified, and I'm going to show you under the hood in a moment, but you can see it already has a pretty massive exhaust out back. Obviously all the aero parts and kit on it, that is not stuff that would have normally come on this car. So somebody already put a lot of time, money, and effort into this project, and I think it turned out great. They were just done with it and decided to sell it and move on to something else. As you can see around here, these arches, again, they haven't done the traditional GTR rear quarter panel treatment, which would put a body line here and bring this out. What they've done is they've actually just reshaped the fender, and they did body work. This has all been smoothed out under here, and this car could go much lower and potentially not rub. Now, I can't say that it doesn't because I haven't been in it. It has been done what appears to be properly, and I don't feel any rust or anything underneath that would be a red flag for a project. So all in all, this is a really cool car. I think with the proper wheels and the proper stance on it, it could be pretty gangster looking. It does have a Brid bucket in the front, as you can see from the back here. I just sat inside this thing, and it's a very tight seat. This was definitely not a large gentleman or woman that was driving this car. They also upgraded the steering wheel, got some gauge accessories, also has an Apex Power FC. It looks like they put the time and money in. They built a pretty neat car and moved on to something else. But just because they were done with it doesn't mean this isn't a good project car. The price is right. It already has an R34 GTR style face. It definitely looks the part and aggressive, and so I think this is a fantastic starting point for a project car. All right, let's take a look under the hood here. This is where it could go sideways really fast, or it could be amazing. So this is FRP. So fiberglass V-Spec 2 style hood. I already see that it has an aftermarket radiator here. I see it's got a big front mount intercooler. It's got a new piping kit for the intercooler as well. And this is an RB25 Neo, so it has drive-by-wire. ABS is still intact. Cold air intake system, strut bar, which I think is original strut bar for this car. And that looks to be about it. So this is actually really good starting point because you don't have something that's already been overdone or finished. It's basically kind of ready for us to have our way with it. So I see a set of coilovers on here as well, so that's nice. All in all, just a really good package to start with. I would not be afraid of this at all. I think the strut towers are in really good condition. I see no signs of any front end collisions or drifting incidents or anything like that, which is important. All the hoses seem to be intact. I see some sensors in here for what looks like the Apex Power FC standalone. We've got a boost gauge or boost controller here. Yeah, really cool. For the price, guys, I don't know that I would buy any other car on this lot in this category for that price. I think at 30, like mid 30s for this car, I think is super reasonable. And it already has a lot of the expensive work done already. This front end conversion is quite expensive. If any of you guys in the R chassis world have ever priced out some of this stuff, it can add up really quick. You can be into 10 grand before you know it in the front end. So overall, I think this is a really good option for throttle. I think we should consider building one of these 3 cars here in Japan, but we need to know what you guys think. I already know what I would do, but it is important to us to cater to our audience, and we would love to know S15, Toyota Serra, Nissan ER34. I know what I'm leaning towards, but I would really like to hear and know what you guys think. So leave us some comments in the comment section down below. Hit that subscribe button and definitely give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying these videos. We appreciate it. I hope you guys appreciate the time and effort that we've been putting in while we're here in Japan on our trip to bring you guys some free content. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Let us know what you think.